y'all, this is Charity from F.R.O.G Crochet, and our devotion today is blowing it. The way of a fool is bright in his own eyes. Proverbs 12:15. Alicia Silverstone cannot outlive her memorable statement made after her hit movie Clueless. I think that the film Clueless was very deep. I think it was deep in the way that it was very light. I think lightness has to come from a very deep place if it's true lightness. But what if your misstep or is more serious? How about Steve Harvey's flubbed announcement of the winning uh, contestant during the Miss Universe 2015 pageant? Many people, especially the Colombians, still dislike him after their beauty queen was awkwardly decrowned for the rightful Miss Philippines to uncomfortably wear and parade it before the clapping audience. And after the world applauded, Caitlyn Bruce Jenner, who publicly transitioned from a man to a woman at the age of 65. The news of panic attacks and regrets over the sex change decision followed. The Body Joy Project is a feminist art collective changing the nation of beauty standards to promoting self-acceptance. They attempted to somehow help women recover from the shame of rape, violation, or other by painting and exhibiting their bodies. I watched and listened with my mouth and eyes wide open in shock. I shook my head and wondered why most people are applauding and cheering this kind of world-breaking news. Who cares? I hear from the younger generation, times have changed and you are living in the past, some claim. Even worse, some people think they have a license to sin because the Bible says, where sin increased, grace abounded all the more. Romans 5:20. Has not God made foolish the wisdom of the world? 1 Corinthians 1:20. The time will come when each of us will have the account for our deeds. Let's align our actions now with God's word so our accomplishments won't be counted as foolishness in God's eyes. Reflection. What worldly beliefs are you holding on to that run counter to God's word? And our prayer is, Dear God, save us from ourselves and the foolishness of this world, and help us to make the right choices each day. Alrighty. Alright, give me a sec. I've got my daughter's Chromebook over here, and I will get the live chat up. So I can see the chat. Mute this. Zach. Hi, Angela. Welcome in. Okay, I have been gone for a while. I know I haven't been doing any videos I know they're sporadic and everything, but I had gotten bit by something. I've got 2 bites right here, and then I've got something going on up by my eye right now, but this swelled up really big and puffy on my cheek, and the worst part was right here, up underneath my neck here. The doctor thought that it was something totally different, that I had something called a saliva stone in this gland that produces the saliva. But that was swollen, and it was about the size of an egg underneath my neck here. It's gone down quite a bit, and the swelling here is gone down. I'm still using steroid cream, and still taking antibiotics. But Miss Kitty wouldn't join me, so my buddy Bill Nye the Sloth gets to join us. The kids wanted to name him Bill Nye. That's what they named him. All right, and the last time you guys seen my temperature blanket piece, I didn't have it bordered, but I've got it bordered. This is just February and January and February's, but I got that done. And I have started on March and April, but I haven't got very far on it. I was working on Miss Kitty's blanket, and I've gotten from last year, because I had started this last year. This was supposed to be a 1-year project. It's become a lot longer. So this was January, February, March. I finished April. Right here where the stitch markers was where I left off, and I got up to here. That's what she had picked out. And she does have some other colors picked out for January, February, March, April, May from last year. So this just was too much trying to do this pattern. But what I plan on doing is when I get to the other end is do the exact same thing here. Do the different colors like she's got here, and then do this again at the other end. But this was taking too long to do within a year's time. Just trying to do all the pattern was just, and this is going to be a full queen size. So that was a lot to anticipate. So I changed it, and she's picking out a color, and I do 4. It's similar to Little Man's blanket. I did 2 days worth for each day of his blanket, and I've got his up to August of last year. I need to work on September. He does have some colors picked out, but this is what I've been working on lately. I'm trying to get this done for Vacation Bible School at our church. And this is a playmat for solar system. Well, that's the back side of it. So let me show you the front. Sorry. But it will lay flat when you lay it on the floor. But the rings are for after I get this done, then I will work on the planets. And I have a YouTube tutorial that I'm using for this. Something called Toy Inspirations or something like that. I will try to link the videos for what I'm using for this. And I started out with Red Heart Super Saver black sparkly yarn. I don't think it's picking it up that this has got the sparkle in it, but this is what I'm using now. I had ran out. I've done 2 things of it, and it was only 255 yards. So I'm using Big Twist Twinkle, and it is got 380 yards in it. So, but that's how far I've got. I've got on, let's see, I'm on row 26, 27, 28. Whoops, 26, 27, 28. Yeah, I'm on row 29. Just started it. There's stitch marker for the beginning of the row. And then I'll put the silver row on there. But, and this is what I'm using for the silver row. All of the black rows are all double crochet, and I'm using this Red Heart with Love metallic and light gray for the stripes. Now, the lady that did the tutorial for this, she did 42 rows of just the pattern here, and then she went back in with a different color and sewed the stripes in. I'm just putting the stripes in on the rows where in a single stitch around it as I go on the rows that I need to put it on. And then I count, and I'm not even counting that as a row. I just skip over that and then put these. Hi, Moonlight Traveler. Welcome in. Oh, I found some tea at, we went shopping, grocery shopping on Saturday. But I found me some tea, and it's a concentrated tea. It's called London Fog, and it said it's a Earl Grey with bergamot and lavender in it. And it's a latte tea stuff. And what you do is it's already got sugar in it and stuff, so it's really concentrated. And it says put equal parts of the tea and equal part to milk. So if you do half a cup this size of the tea, then you put the rest of it milk. But I had found this, well, actually my sister-in-law found this cup. We had run across it when we were cleaning stuff out of my mother-in-law's garage. And this is what it says. Whoops. I'm not Mr. There we go. Whoop. Maybe it'll focus. There we go. It says, I'm sorry you're old. And it's blue on the inside. And right up here, it says, that's all. But I loved the blue, but I also liked what it said. But yep, my coffee or my tea tells me I'm sorry you're old. That's all. But I liked it. I thought it was a cute cup. But that's what's in my cup is London tea or London Fog latte tea. And I knocked Mr. Bill Nye off of there. And this here was little man's shirt that he outgrew. Somebody had give to him. I knocked him off. I knocked my co-host off on the floor and put him back up here. There. I think he wants to go to sleep. He keeps laying backwards. It's really good tea. Got it at a store called Aldi out here, and it was $2.99 for it. Be nice to the co-host. I'm sorry. I stood up and he fell on the floor, so I'm trying to put him back up here. He wants to lay down. He's sporting one of little man's old t-shirts. He can't wear it anymore. He outgrew it. So I gave it to Bill Nye here. If you see me looking over here, I can't see the chat all the way over there. So Miss Kitty let me borrow her her Chromebook so I can see the chat over here. So that's what's going on over here. So I can read y'all's chat. But anyway, I don't know. I don't think it was a saliva stone because it was really hot and feverish under my chin when it was really swollen. And since I've been on the antibiotic, she said that it could be an infection. She wasn't sure. And so that's why she put me on an antibiotic. And since I've taken the antibiotic, the swelling's gone down quite a bit. A couple of days ago, I had a little spot, and there's still a little bit of a spot right there. I can feel it. But it was bigger than that. It was about the size of a marble the other day. But now it's just a little tiny spot. And the good thing is it don't hurt to touch it either. When I first noticed it, it was itching, and then I started scratching, and I'm like, wait a minute, that hurts. Why does that hurt? And it felt bruised. And then when I went and seen the doctor, she kept sitting there pushing and pushing. I was like, that's the only thing I don't like about going to the doctor about is you telling me you got a sore spot, and then it'll sit there and poke, make it even worse. Feels like. Cashews dipped in ranch dressing? I've never tried that, but okay. I like cashews, and I like ranch dressing, but I've never tried them together. I will take your word on that it's good, Zach. I've never tried it, though. I remember one time I had gotten a can of mixed nuts, and this was when me and my husband first got married, and my in-laws actually, they owned this house, and it was way before they give us this house. And we were actually living upstairs from them, and that's where my kids, their rooms are. But I had bought a can of nuts, and I left them downstairs on the table, and I was like, well, anybody can eat these. There's for whoever wants them. And Maritza's here. Hi, Maritza. Welcome in. But anyway, I went to get some out of it, and it had cashews in it, and I started noticing, it's like, wait a minute, there's no cashews in this. And my mother-in-law, she's like, oh, well, your father-in-law likes cashews, and that's because he didn't have any teeth. He liked nuts, but he couldn't chew them, but he would eat the cashews because they were soft enough for him to chew them up without teeth. So he ate all the cashews out of that can of nuts. So I was like, well, if I want any cashews, I have to remember to leave them upstairs. But anyway, so there was a bunch of hazelnuts, peanuts. I had Brazil nuts in it. It was just a bunch of mixture of stuff, but all the cashews were gone. And you got cats sleeping on you. Now my cat is, I'm thinking, the other room with Miss Kitty. Oh yeah, that. We have been trying to get Miss Bandit, our cat, to keep her from scratching on the furniture. So my husband built her this little cat condo thingy. I don't know what you would call it. Anyway, it was a little box. And then it had a little counterbalance thing because on the other side of the box he had this really up high platform piece, and we would put a pillow up there, and she liked sitting there, and I put it in the other room here, close to that table that I used to sit at. I don't sit there anymore because my husband said it, the window silhouettes me too much and you can't see me on my videos too good. So I moved in here, and I've had to, that's just a big giant mirror right there. So we put the blanket over it because these lights will glare back at you guys. So it doesn't do good for videoing. So that's why we got that blanket hanging up over this mirror. But anyway, but she liked looking out the window because she could see the birds out there and occasionally see the rabbits that come through in the yard. And anyway, and sometimes she just likes laying in there to get the sun coming in on her. And but she kept scratching on the cabinets in the kitchen. She kept scratching on the couch. She got to where she was scratching on this antique couch here that I'm sitting on. She scratched on the antique coffee table sitting over there. And we're like, oh, no, 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 no. We don't want you scratching on the antique stuff. Please don't be scratching on furniture. So he built that in hopes that she would on that, but he didn't put any carpet on it. And but recently he has. He Miss Kitty brought down a rug from upstairs out of her room that she didn't want up there, and it was a really long runner type rug that you would put, like, say, across in front of the kitchen counter, floor or something like that, or in a hallway, that kind of a big long rug. But anyway, they put some of it around the pole of that platform piece, and then on top of the box. And she's gotten on top of that box and sat a couple times. So far, I haven't seen her scratch on it yet. My husband said she did scratch on top of the box one day, and then she went to scratching on the carpet on the floor next to it. And he was like, no, don't do that. You can scratch on this one, but not the floor. So anyway, we thought maybe we can get some catnip or loose catnip and try that. But I found this little bottle of catnip spray. Oh, it was 99 cents. I wished I had never bought that thing. It smells so bad. I'd rather just had the loose leaf like catnip stuff and stuck it on there, because that spray smells so bad. And the kids have sprayed that platform piece and that carpet that's on the top of that box, and then they've sprayed the carpet on the pole. But they've also took and sprayed her new toy, which is big long pole, well, little stick, plastic stick thing with long string. It's got feathers on the end of it, but they sprayed the feathers. Oh, that thing stinks so bad. My husband came home one day and the other day, he said, what in the world is that nasty smell in this house? I said, it ain't the trash can, because I just changed the bag out and tied it off. And I said, the only thing I can think of is that new catnip spray. Later on, he got, Miss Kitty was, just she was playing with the cat with that toy, and slinging it around and stuff, and he got a whiff of it, and he's like, oh, yeah, that's the smell I smelled earlier. Y'all need to quit spraying that stuff. That's just nasty. And he told me, he says, do me a favor, when that stuff runs out, don't ever buy that again. He said, that stuff stinks. I said, yeah, I agree. Hi, Spring. Welcome in. We're just sitting here chit-chatting. I was telling them about getting some catnip spray stuff the other day for the cat, trying to get her to just scratch on the scratch post that my husband made for her. And my husband came home and he's like, oh, what is that smell? What stinks? I was like, I don't know. It can't be the trash can because I took that out. Took that out. And I was like, oh, you know what? I said, we got that catnip spray, and I said, the kid's been spraying it like crazy. And anyway, my daughter was later on, she was playing with the cat with a new toy, and she had sprayed that toy down with that catnip spray. And he's like, quit doing that. He said, yeah, that's the smell that I smelled when I came in. And he told me, he says, do me a favor, don't ever buy that again. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'll buy it again either, because it smells bad. Cat loves it. She absolutely loves it. She sits there and licks it off of the cat toy. But it does stink really bad. Like, next time I'll just get the loose leaf stuff and put it on there. See my co-host here, Spring? This is Bill Nye the Sloth. The kids named him Bill Nye the Sloth. And apparently he is a blue angel in training. This used to be Little Man's shirt, and he outgrew it, so Bill Nye gets to wear it now. Miss Kitty didn't want to co-host with me, so I let him co-host with me. He's very quiet. And I accidentally knocked him over earlier, and so Zach told me to be nice to him. And I'm working on, right now, trying to get this done. I mentioned it I think in your live, that I was working on a playmat for a solar system. And I finally went and got me some more this black sparkly yarn so I could work on it some more. But this is what I've got done so far. I'm on row 29 out of 42 rows now. Oh, you're cooking ribs, huh? Wow, sounds good. I've made spaghetti for dinner. But it's already, what time is it? Can't see it on here. I have no idea what time it is right now. I don't know why I can't see it on her screen. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's 10:22. Wow. You're cooking late. I got tea. I was telling them this is called London F.R.O.G. I got it as a concentrated tea. and it's a tea latte mix stuff. It's concentrated tea, and you just add milk to it. It's called London Fog. It's Earl Grey tea mixed with bergamot and lavender. I like it. It's really good. And my cup tells me I'm sorry you're old. And that's all. So, normal for you? Oh no, you're allergic to bergamot. Well, I have another one. They had, what was it? They had chai tea, and then they had something called dirty chai tea. I haven't tried those yet. I wanted to try this one first. Miss Kitty likes it, and she likes that it's got lavender in it. She's my lavender fan. But I think it tastes really good, but I'm sorry you can't have this. It's got bergamot in it. But yeah, I didn't know what to fix for dinner tonight. I had fixed a Italian chicken and pasta yesterday, and I was trying to get some more stuff of variety for my husband to have for dinner or for lunches at work, so he's not eating the same thing every day. There is some of that left over, but I decided I'd make some spaghetti too, so that he can have something different besides taking that Italian chicken pasta stuff with him to work every day. And so I just didn't know what to fix. I had made a cheeseburger casserole the other night, and they finished that off at lunchtime today, so he didn't have that left over. It was a 9x13 casserole dish, and everybody had second helpings that night that I made it, so there wasn't a whole lot left over. They seemed to like that one pretty good. I got it off of YouTube, but I added extra to it. Their recipe was you brown it. They call for, I think, 1.5 pounds. I used 2 pounds, but I did hamburger meat and turkey burger together. And I didn't have the cheese soup, but they wanted me to use 1 can of golden mushroom soup and 1 can of cheddar cheese soup from Campbell's. Mix that in after you cook up the hamburger meat and onions. And anyway, I cooked up the hamburger meat, turkey meat together. I didn't have cheese soup or even cheese sauce. So I just used 2 cans of the golden mushroom. But what I had been doing was getting something called premium cheddar or something like that. I don't know. It was cheese sauce stuff. And you can get regular, or you can get it that's spicy. But I try not to do too spicy stuff for the kids because they don't like real spicy stuff. Little man's starting to get where he wants to eat spicy stuff. Because Daddy likes spicy stuff. But anyway, but I'm like, okay, how's this supposed to taste like cheeseburger? Because this doesn't have, ketchup, mustard, none of that stuff. You got the mushrooms from the mushrooms, in the mushroom soup. And there's a little bit of a tomato base to the golden mushroom, but it really didn't have that much of a. So I'm like, okay. So I started adding stuff to it. I added some dill pickle relish in it, and I put mustard and ketchup in there. And then you put that in the bottom of your, after you mix all that stuff up with your hamburger meat after you cook it, you put that in the bottom of the casserole dish, and you put a layer of shredded cheese on top of that. Then you take crinkle cut French fries and lay it across, layer on top of the cheese. And then you bake it for, I think, 55 minutes in the oven. Basically, you're just melting the cheese and cooking the French fries when you're baking it like that. But the kids and my husband love it. And I think it tastes like a cheeseburger that way whenever you add the ketchup and mustard to it. And the pickle relish too. Oh. But every time I've made it, they eat over half the casserole. And so there may be one or two helpings left over that my husband can take with him to work. But because I made it Thursday, I think it was, that they finished it off. So, well, I think I made it Friday. I think it was Friday I made it. Keep snagging the metallic part. But the Italian chicken stuff is, and I change it too. I don't follow. Sometimes I don't follow the recipe. Sometimes you gotta change it a little bit, make it your own, right? But the Italian chicken stuff, I got it off the internet too, but it was the Olive Garden creamy Italian dressing, 1 bottle of it, and shredded Parmesan cheese, and a pound of chicken breast meat, and a block of cream cheese. And you put that in your crock pot and cook it in that until the chicken's tender. Then you shred the chicken up, and after all that's done cooking and stuff, in a regular pot on the stove, you cook panini noodles and drain them. After they're fully cooked, you drain the water off, and then you mix it with your chicken mix and stuff. But to me, it's a little too dry. So, and the kids love it this way too, and my husband. I add a little bit extra Italian dressing in it, just regular Italian. Sometimes I use zesty Italian. Sometimes I use Tuscan Italian dressing mixed in, and then I add a can of cream of mushroom and a can of cream of chicken, and then mix it up that way, and then add the noodles. And Miss Kitty does not like cream cheese or sour cream or mayonnaise, but she will eat that because she does like that one, and she don't mind the cream cheese in it. Hi, Cricket. Welcome in. How are you? But they really like that one too. But like I said, I really didn't know what to fix for dinner tonight, so I just didn't feel like doing a whole lot, so I just browned up some hamburger and turkey burger together and threw some spaghetti sauce in the pan with the meat after it was cooked. I had put some onions in it and cooked some spaghetti noodles, and we had spaghetti for dinner. And occasionally he'll ask me, My husband will ask me, "Can you fix some spaghetti like my mom fixes it?" I said, "Ooh, you really want that? That's no." He don't want, which means you just cook noodles. Don't even heat up the sauce. After you drain the noodles, you just open a can of spaghetti sauce and dump it in with the noodles and mix it up. There you go. That's how she makes spaghetti. I have to have extra seasonings in it. I put hamburger meat or chicken sometimes in it. I gotta have the meat in there, but he he wants it that way every once in a while because that's how his mom would make it. I'm not a big fan of that. So if I fix it that way, I'm like, here you go, it's all yours. If the kids want it, they can have it too. But I prefer to have at least some meat and extra seasonings in with my spaghetti. Gotta have that protein in there. But I'll tell you, I'm glad I'm doing a lot better. This did concern me with the spots and stuff, especially this right here. The My throat swelling really bad. That really was what got me the most. That scared me, was having this big old knot the size about the size of an egg growing underneath my chin. Um, you used to eat it that way as a teenager, just spaghetti sauce and noodles. That's the way my mother-in-law makes it. She don't add any meat to it. Don't add any extra seasoning to it. She just cooks the noodles and drains the water off and just dumps a jar of spaghetti sauce in there, and there you go. That's our spaghetti. But now, if I can just get the itching to go away, I got tickled with Miss Kitty on it. She was sitting there, and I had took the night before. That Sunday night was when it got really bad. Last Sunday was when this was really huge, and that's when I started, because the swelling started on Saturday, about middle of the day. Now, this was already here on Thursday and Friday. These two bites were already on my face. But by Saturday was when the swelling and the soreness started underneath here. I just had, how I noticed it up under here was I just started itching, and then it felt sore. And I'm like, why do I feel like I got a bruise under here? And then I'm like, wait a minute, that's not just any bruise. That's like, there's a knot there. And, I just kept an eye on it. And throughout the day, or the rest of that evening, it just kept getting bigger. And by Sunday morning, it was pretty good size. And I didn't say anything to my husband about it because I knew he'd worry about me. And so I was like, I was already worried myself, so I didn't want to worry him anymore. But anyway, I said something to him. I said, I might need to take some Benadryl. I said, I think I'm having a reaction to these bites. And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, this is all puffy over here. And I said, but my biggest concern when I finally told him, I said, this up under here is real swollen. I said, it started out with just a little spot, probably about as big as the end of my pinky. And that's about what the size is now. But I was like, I leaned up forward and he could see it. I tilted my head up and he's like, oh my goodness. He said, that is huge. What the world? And he says, when were you going to tell me this? I said, well, I was hoping it would go away, but it wasn't. It just kept getting worse. Sorry. That fuzz in my mouth. I don't know if it was from the yarn or from holding the cat earlier. Anyway, so he's like, maybe Benadryl will help. So he went and got some Benadryl, and I took it that night, and I went to the doctor Monday. The earliest they could get me in was, I think, 2:45 in the afternoon. But anyway, since the antibiotics have been in my system, it's gone down quite a bit. This is getting better. It's scabbed over pretty bad. But I did get another spot showed up here, but these look like little teeny tiny blisters. I don't know what that, but it's been itching. But when I was in the doctor's office, Spring, you'll probably get a kick out of this. I'm sitting there, and I'm just sitting there just doing this number, just scratch, scratch, scratch. And then I'd scratch, 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 scratch. And then I'd scratch here and here on my chin. I'd do this. I tried not to scratch here, but it would start itching a little bit. But when I'd start touching it, it would hurt. So I didn't mess with it too much. See, I'm sitting here scratching now. But it does itch up through here. But anyway, she got to laughing. I was just kept sitting there just scratching. And the doctor's talking to us, and she's like, well, and one thing, she just kept talking to me about this, that she thought it was a saliva stone. And she didn't really touch on anything on these bites and tell us anything about the bites on my face. And, but when she started pulling up pictures, I got tickled with little man on this part. She started pulling up pictures trying to show me the gland itself. But then she's like, well, this is what saliva stones look like. Well, when she pulled that up, little man, he got over there, and she had turned the computer monitor where I could see it. He got up over there and was just like all up in that computer, just staring at it like, cool, you know? And she's like, you're really interested in this, aren't you? And he started asking questions and all this stuff. And honestly, I wouldn't have known that she had prescribed me anything for these spots on my face if it wasn't for him asking questions. And I even asked a few times, well, what about the spots on my face? Is it tied to this? I even asked her that. And she just kind of ignored me a little bit. And I'm going, wait a minute, I'm the patient here. But he actually asked her that. He's like, was that not tied together? Is this, what's going on here? It's not tied to those spots on her face. And she's like, no, it's just two different separate things. But I think it was tied together because now that I've had the antibiotics in my system, the swelling's gone down and it's not feverish anymore. Because, when you get an infection, it gets kind of feverish and hot and stuff. And this is not anymore. And the swelling over here has gone down quite a bit. My cheek was really puffy over here. But they've got me on a steroid cream stuff. And that started these to scab up. This one's worse, I guess, because when I would talk, it would split open and start oozing. But it actually don't itch as much as this one over here does. And this up here, sorry y'all, you see me scratching, I know I'm not supposed to scratch, supposed to leave it alone, but it's not the spot that's itching, it's like around my face. And that's what I was talking about, Spring, that before the doctor came in, I was sitting there, I just kept scratching, and I'd move here, and I'd do my nose, and then here, and I'd do my cheek a little bit, and Miss Kitty just kept sitting there just laughing at me. And I said, what is so funny? I said, this itches so bad. She said, I know it's not funny, but yet it is. She said, I'm not laughing that you're itching. She said, I'm laughing because you look like a cat or a dog sitting there scratching for a flea and trying to chase it down. Because you keep scratching here, then you'll scratch here. But then she's like, you scratch there. It's just the way that you're scratching too. And I said, well, I can't help it. I said, I had took the Benadryl, and I guess the Benadryl helped kind of reduce the itching some. And so I said, and it's done wore off now. So I'm sitting there just clawing at myself. And every time I'd sit there and scratch, she would sit there and laugh. She didn't say. She kept calling it a rash. She didn't really say that it actually was even a bug bite. But like this one up here, you can tell that was actually some kind of a bite because it had a little spot in the center of it that looked like something bit me. But these up here look like little blisters up here that started. And those started after she gave me the medicine. And anyway, because I didn't have that when I went to these spots up here. I didn't have those when I went to the doctor. But it's been itching really bad, like this stuff too. So I've been starting to put that cream on there. I have to put it on there twice a day. And so I try to put it on at the same time of day. Like if I put it on at 9 o'clock in the morning, I put it on at 9 o'clock at night. And the antibiotic I have to take 4 times a day. And I've already taken my last dose for this evening. But yeah, she didn't even tell me what she thought bit me or anything. She just said, I just gave you really, she told little man that she had give me a cream to put on it, a steroid cream. And then later on, she explained to me, she's like, all right, I put you on this such and such antibiotic. You need to take it 4 times a day. And then I've got you this cream that you put on the rash twice a day. And that's basically all she told me, really. But see, it even itches over on this side of my face. I don't know what it is, but it's just all on my face that itches like crazy. I did take some Benadryl, but it ain't had time to kick in yet. So I'm waiting for that. It's gradually getting better on the itching, but I still sitting here. It's driving me nuts. And it's hot in this room too, and I think that some of it does activate the itchiness too. So, because we did have a lot of sun come in through this window today. And this room keeps the heat in. But yeah, I wish that she would have told me what it was or what she thought it might have been that bit me. But she really didn't even seem like she was too concerned about the bites on here. As I told her, I said, this bite showed up first, then this one here, and then that started swelling after the second bite showed up. So, I don't know. I really don't. But, and somebody told me, oh, my husband, I got a little irritated, but kind of tickled with him. And everybody that knows me knows that I absolutely do not like snakes whatsoever. I am extremely, extremely terrified of snakes. I don't care what kind of snake it is. I just don't want it near me. And my husband looked at me one day. I think it was last Sunday. He's like, are you sure that when you were, because we've been going to this forest school with the kids. One of our neighbors up here has forest, what she calls forest school on Fridays from 10 a.m. to 12. And she's still doing it during the summertime. Basically, activities for the kids to learn stuff about different things in the woods. She'll draw a picture of some kind of leaf or some kind of plant, and she'll tell them what it is, and there's different descriptions on there and stuff. Anyway, they have to draw that and write all the words down on the piece of paper, and then they can go try to find it in her woods. And she's got these little paths that they have kind of fixed up for them to take, like little trail walks and stuff. But anyway, he looked at me and he says, are you sure you didn't get bit by a snake Friday while you were over there and just didn't know it? And I'm like, excuse me? I'm going, I am not going to let a snake even get remotely that close to me without me knowing it. Ain't happening. I'd have to be passed out unconscious to even let any snake crawl on me. There ain't, the snake is not going to be within 10 feet of me without me knowing that it's there. Because I watch. Even when I go outside, I watch. As we've had some copperheads really close by the house here several times. Little man, actually, we come home. Sorry. Those itching. Sorry, y'all. We came home one time. Me and little man had went shopping, and he was just a little bitty thing. It was before he started school. I'd say probably about 4, maybe almost 5. We had went to the grocery store and we had got some stuff, and he immediately just started for the door, and I seen something move in front of him. I said, stop right there now, don't move. And he's like, what? And he did stop. I guess, and I had a lot more panic to my voice than that. I just try not to startle y'all. Anyway, but I guess I had enough panic in my voice, and he stopped dead in his tracks. And any other time, he wouldn't have listened to me. He would have just kept on going. But I guess because he picked up on the tone of voice that I was using and knew that something was wrong, he stopped. I said, you back up very slowly towards me. Do not turn around and run. Just back up really, really slowly. He's like, why? I said, because there's a very, very dangerous snake sitting right there in front of you, and it is ready to strike you. If he had took one more step, that snake would have bit him, and it was a copperhead. I had described it to my husband. He's like, well, it was gray. I said, yes, but it had all the markings of a copperhead. And he said, well, either one, it was starting to shed its skin, or it was really old and it started losing its color. But anyway, he listened to me, and he backed up really close to me, and he stayed right there. And he's like, well, why can't we just go around? I said, no, we're going to stand right here, and we're going to wait for him to go on his merry little way. I said, he said, well, we can just go around. I said, no, where there's one, there's usually another. So we're just going to stand here and wait. And that thing sat there for a good while, coiled up. And it finally uncoiled, but it was so tightly coiled up. When it uncoiled, it shot itself out there, and it didn't strike. He just let go of his coil, and he took off. But he slithered off on his own way, and we let him get out of sight and go on up the hill, and we went in the house. But yeah, me either, Cricket. I don't like going in the reptile place at the zoos either. Which actually that aquarium, we had went to me and my husband got the opportunity to go to the Outer Banks in North Carolina, and he took me to go see lighthouses because I absolutely love lighthouses. And we were hoping to go up inside them and get to climb them. We only got to climb one because that one was kind of a private owned lighthouse. And that was neat. That was really neat getting to do that. That one was, I cannot remember which one that was. I'll have to get Miss Kitty to do a slideshow for y'all on those. I haven't done that in a while. Or I may have to just sit down and do it myself. But we got to climb one. It had 220 steps. It had 9 platforms. But it was really neat. I got to go in there. We couldn't go into the lighthouse keeper's house, the big house that usually basically a lot of those houses that housed the lighthouse keepers, there was 3 families or 3 men. If they weren't married, there was just 3 men that lived there. But a lot of time it was 3 of them, and they could, if they were married and had kids, they all share. 2 of them would share the big house, and then I forgot what they called the main one, but he was the head lighthouse keeper. He got the other house, which was smaller. But anyway, it was right there on the same property as the lighthouse. But that particular one, they actually had people living in that big one of the two family house. And the one family house was actually turned into a gift shop store. So we actually got to go in that one. That was neat. They had some of the rooms closed off that you couldn't see into it, but it was really neat to see the old house. And I like that they actually repurposed it to be used. And that the other house was actually being lived in. That was neat as well. And that one actually, we found it had an outhouse. The original outhouse for that lighthouse was there, and now and they had a clear plexiglass closing off. The door was off of it, but it was a 2-seater outhouse. I said, yeah, no thank you. 1 occupado, not 2 occupado. That's like, no, I'm not sharing a bathroom where somebody's sitting there right next to me. No thank you. But let's see. Bodie, we went and seen it, or it's pronounced either way. You can call it Bodie or Body. It was the shortest one that was there. The one we actually got to climb was in the middle. It was in between those two in height. I didn't get to go in Body because it was owned by the state, and it's a seasonal thing of when they're open. And if we had gone the following weekend, we could have gone in there and actually climbed it. But it was neat to see it. And then we went and seen Cape Hatteras. Now, Cape Hatteras was not open because they're remodeling and repainting. Well, not really remodeling. They're doing maintenance on it. When we went out there, they were currently stripping all the paint on the inside. Now, they had repainted the inside before and just painted over the paint that was already there. And they said this was the first time that they actually stripped the paint down. And they finally have gotten down to the last layer of paint on the inside, and it was lead base. So the chemicals plus the factor that it was a lead based paint, they're not letting people go in there and tour it right now. And I think she said it's going to be at least 3 years from now before they're done with everything that they're doing to it. Because they're going to strip the paint on the outside, repaint it. Once they get done with the inside, getting all that paint stripped down and repainting it, then they're going to take and inspect the staircase, the structure wise of the safety and stuff, and if any repairs need to be done to it, take care of that kind of stuff. And then she said something about up top, they had took something off and they didn't realize it until later on that actually needs that piece. She told me what it was. She told us what piece it was. I can't remember what it was. But when they removed that piece off of the top of the lighthouse, where the light actually is at, it's caused the lighthouse to start leaking. And so she said that once they get that replaced, that should help keep it from leaking, because it's when it rains and stuff, water collects inside the lighthouse, and so you don't want that happening, because that's a big giant cylinder just to store water. So, and not really a way of them for them to get it out. But while we were there, we did get to go and tour inside of the lighthouse keeper's house as they moved it, because they actually moved Cape Hatteras 1 mile from its original position because it was starting to get the sand and stuff at the because it was right at the ocean beachfront. We actually seen the site where it was, and it was on the sand. And it wasn't very far from water, and the water just keeps coming in. So, and they didn't want which it had pretty good sized stones underneath it, trying keeping it in place, but those were starting to kind of get eroded and stuff. So they moved it 1 mile inland. And anyway, we went and seen the original place where it was at. After we went and seen the lighthouse itself. But it was neat to see where it used to be, neat to see. And it was just the history of it was really neat and stuff. But there was a lot of other stuff in the lighthouse keeper's house. And that one was a lot bigger than the other one we got to see. And there was a lot of rooms that we couldn't go in as well there that they had closed off. But they had a lot of different stuff in there that you could look at. But while we were there, before we went and seen the lighthouses, our first day, we got there about 12:15 or so in the afternoon on that Friday. And we wanted to go to the aquarium that was there, and it was actually North Carolina Aquarium. The state did it, the aquarium. It was a decent size. I was kind of, for the size of the building and stuff, I was expecting it to be a lot more than what was in there. But it was neat to see. But yeah, they had some snakes in there, and I avoided the said critters. I was more interested in the turtles. Now, I didn't mind the lizards, but you had to walk through that section to get to other places in there. But you could see where they were at, and you could see the label that it said snake. And yeah, Miss Charity went way around on the other side of the wall. I didn't get nowhere near those. My son makes fun of me because he's like, "But Mom, they can't get out. They're in the wall, and they're inside that little aquarium thing." I said, "I don't care. Me not getting close to them." I said, "If you see a lizard, I'll come over and look at the lizard, but I'm not getting near no snakes. Even if they're in glass, I don't like it." And when we went to one of our school trips every year when I was in elementary school, we went out in Missouri, our field trip at the end of the year. And that's the only time we ever got to take a field trip. These kids nowadays, they take 2 or 3 field trips a year. I only got to take one a year, and that was at the end of the year. And it was always the zoo. And it was the same zoo every year. Now, one year was neat to go to it because they had a dinosaur exhibit come in, and that's when they first started doing those robot dinosaurs. Kind of like a lot like what they used in Jurassic Park type dinosaurs. And we got to go see those one year. And my mom went with me that year. But they tried to get me to go into the reptile house, and I said, "Nope." I said, "Y'all go. I will stay right here. I am not going in that reptile house. You cannot pay me enough to go in there." But anyway, I did get to see one of my favorite animals when we went to the aquarium. And that is the reason why my husband took me to that said aquarium, was because it is actually one of the sea turtle rehabilitation centers. They take in injured or sick sea turtles and try to get them better and release them back in out in the wild. And when we went, they had 2 really big adult lockerhead sea turtles. And those suckers were huge. And she said that they were, what was it? I think anemic. And the female was getting better, and she was getting close to being where they were going to release her. The male was still anemic, and they needed to work with him some more before they could release him. But they had 2 other tanks that had what they called juveniles in there, and they had what she called it, but they got too cold during the winter. And basically, she said when that happens, they go into a coma state, and they don't, basically, they're not alert, nothing. They just kind of float. And they're susceptible to predators hurting them. And sometimes they have to heal some of the injuries that they get. But she said, luckily enough, the ones that they had, they just were trying to get their system back to normal temperatures. But the ones they had found or just had minor injuries to them. And then they had one of the tanks off to the side there, and they had a pretty good size turtle swimming in there. I don't know if that's one that they just keep there all the time, because that one there seemed pretty injured. One of his flippers was badly hurt. It had a huge scar and everything, and didn't seem like he swam around very well in there. But he did pretty good. I had him in there with other fish too, or other fish. Hi Pam, Wicked Granny, welcome in. Let me fix this. I am on Top Chat on here. On this one. There we go. Maybe I can see y'all's chat come up a little bit better. But I really enjoyed my trip when we went, and that was after our anniversary, but it was close enough to our anniversary that we, when we went. And me and my husband had celebrated our 20th anniversary this year. It was back in April. But I enjoyed that trip a lot. Like I said, I got to visit one. We went and seen one other lighthouse, and that was the only other lighthouse. At that time, that was the only lighthouse that I had ever got to see or even climb it. And that one, I think it's in South Carolina, called Old Baldy. And we had went several years ago. I think Little Man was 3, I believe. We had went as a family on vacation to the beach. Oh, hi, Granny D. Welcome in. And my husband wanted to go see the USS North Carolina, the battleship, and so that was his big thing to do that weekend, or that vacation trip. And he took me to go see the lighthouse that weekend. Or, I keep saying week, while we were on vacation. I got tickled with Little Man at that time. We had drove by, there was a little bit of a harbor place, and it was, I guess, where people that either lived on the island over there would bring, they would store their boats there. There was buku sailboats up there. And it was just packed full of just boat after boat. And I said, look, Little Man, look at all the boats. Cars. And of course you had the parking lot for all the people that would ferry over to, if they didn't take their car with them, which a lot of them didn't take their cars over. Now, they did have some ferries that you could take a car over, but a lot of them just would take the ferry boat over. And a lot of the workers that worked on the island would ferry over to the island for their job. But it was so funny because he was more concerned. He was more interested in all the cars in the parking lot than he was those boats. Okay, Cape Lookout, North Carolina. Cool. I've not been to that one. But that was the first one that I ever got to see, and it was neat. My husband looked at me. He says, when we got over there, or actually after we got done, he says, "So, what did you think of?" I said, "That was really neat seeing the lighthouse and actually getting to climb it and everything." He said, "Well, what did you think about the rest of the island and everything?" So that was neat too, but yeah, that was really expensive trip. And he's like, "Yeah, we got to see how the rich people live." I got tickled with him. Uh, and I think little me and him being 3 at the time, he was still 3 or 4. I think it was 3. Anyway, the only thing he really intrigued him the whole trip was because where we got off at the ferry, where we got off the ferry at, it was a pretty long distance to get down to the lighthouse. And so we rented a golf cart, and he absolutely loved riding that golf cart. And when we first did it, he rode up front with Daddy because he was so tiny and stuff, and he just wanted to keep an eye on him. And so, but the last trip on our, because we decided to go exploring the island a little bit, because there was a little shop on the island, and I wanted to go see the little gift shop place that was there. They didn't have a lot. Of course, they had lost power. Somehow or another, had lost power. But the power came back on when we went in over there. But their computer was having troubles getting back up and running. So if you bought anything from the store, it had to be cash. But anyway, on our way back from that little shop back to turn in the golf cart, I said, "Why don't you just let him sit on the back and let him see what it's like?" And he's like, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah, I'll keep an eye on him. He can sit with me back here." And he sat back there with me, and he was just a grinning from ear to ear. He was just taking it all in. He loved it, every bit of it. So I said, well, at least he was happy. Oh, good night, Angela. Have a good evening. But anyway, the day that we went, and this was in the middle of July when we went that year, when little man was about 3. My husband's birthday is July 23rd, and he particularly wanted to go see the USS North Carolina on his birthday. And so we did. We went on his birthday. And let me tell you, in the middle of July is not a good time to go tour a big battleship, because they have no AC on those battleships, and it is extremely, extremely hot. And on top of everything else, it being extremely hot, I was chasing down a 3-year-old, as that 3-year-old only stayed in a spot for like 2 or 3 seconds. And my husband was trying to give tour guides on there to other people. Because he loves history, and he knows a lot about stuff on that ship. He's watched YouTube videos of other people he does a lot of research on stuff that he's very, very passionate about. And the USS North Carolina is one of the things that he's very passionate about. History, especially military history stuff. But he really likes the battleships a lot. And he really likes the USS North Carolina because he was born in North Carolina. Hi, Pam. Welcome in. But anyway, at one point we were somewhere. I don't remember where we were at specifically on there on the ship, but he was having a ball. Little man was. He was touching everything, just running this way, running that way, and had got to take a small break. And my husband says, "Are you okay?" I said, "Well, right now I am." I said, "Because I get to have a little break." He said, "What are you talking about?" And I pointed down in front of me, and little man was sitting. He had found this big, huge pipe that was coming up out of the floor from the floor below us. But, I mean, it was closed off. The floor was closed off around it. But the pipe had come up through the floor of where we were at. But he decided he was going to take him a little break and sit down on that pipe and straddle that pipe and act like he was riding a horse. So I was like, okay, fine. That's good with me. You're sitting still for right now. And you're kind of in motion, but at least you're sitting and not running around. I'm having to chase you. And he's like, okay. Anyway, my husband just kind of laughed a little bit, and he's like, well, it looks like your break's up. And I said, what do you mean? He pointed. He was gone. He wasn't sitting on the pipe anymore. He took off. So I guess I'll see you when I catch up to you. So I went after little man again to go find where he's at. Because they had these little spots where a lot of the sailors and stuff could get access to other parts of the ship, like ladders and stuff, but there's holes in the floor and stuff, and a lot of times they had like a chain or something across to where you couldn't go down. Of course, little man being 3 years old, full of energy, in this little bitty tiny thing, he could easily duck under those railing parts or even the chain and easily just poof, and be down this little hole. So I had to keep an eye on him so he would not fall down these little said holes and not be able to get to him. So I got to chase a 3-year-old all over the place on this battleship. And I think at that time it was 80 something degrees. It wouldn't have surprised me if it was like 85 or higher or close to 90 degrees weather when we went. I was pouring sweat and chasing down a 3-year-old. And anyway, at the end of the day, we finally got to leave. And my husband looked at me. He says, "Why are you so tired?" He said, "I had the time of my life. I enjoyed this." I said, "Yeah, Mr. Tour Guide, giving everybody all these history lessons." I said, "You didn't have to chase down a 3-year-old and try to make sure he didn't fall off, especially when we got on the main deck. Because somebody had mentioned while we were there, be careful of this particular side of the ship because there's a family of alligators that live over on that side. And of course, little man heard them say alligators, and he says, "Oh, where?" and starts trying to get along the edge of this ship, trying to see if he can find those said alligators. So I had to stay really close to him when we were up there on the main deck, because he kept looking over the edge to try to see if he could spot those alligators. So I'm chasing down a 3-year-old on the deck of a battleship to try to keep him from falling overboard with the alligators. That wasn't fun either. So to say the least, by the end of that trip, I was exhausted. But at least my husband had fun. He enjoyed his birthday and got to see the USS North Carolina on his birthday. I'm not putting you to sleep, Emma, Zach. How you work today? I don't miss that. We went to church this morning, and now my husband and little man did go do some work today. Our pastor took 2 weeks off for vacation, so he got somebody else to do service today for him. And his wife plays the piano for us, and she got somebody else to play the piano today. But we went to service, and my husband does all the computer stuff. For a long time, we were doing Facebook, but my pastor noticed that Facebook was either shortening up, like taking his videos and making them shorter, or even just getting rid of some of his videos altogether. And so he got a little frustrated with that. But so I told him, I said, well, why don't you try putting your church service on YouTube? You might get other people and be able to reach out to other places. And so he does do his sermons on, but he does both now. He will put the camera on and do YouTube Live, and then he also does his service on Facebook Live, and usually on his phone. But because he wasn't there today, we just ended up doing YouTube Live today. But my husband and Miss Kitty, they run it. She knows a little bit more than my husband does about setting up videos and stuff, so she kind of helps him get that started as far as getting the video up and running. But anyway, after church was over, my husband, we all came home, and my husband and little man, they ate lunch, and then they went over and went to the pastor's house and went and helped him work on his little shed. He's adding like a covered like lean-to type spot. He's just kind of, I don't know. It's a little spot extra off to the side of this little shed building that he's got. And he's adding a roof to it. And they went to go help him work on it some more. Let me see. I got some more comments. Granny D says, so sleepy, but want to pop in and say hey and give my thumbs up. I want to go to bed early so I don't miss hobby bingo in the AM. Okay, well, good night, Granny D. Have a good evening. Oh, hi, Crochet Queen. Welcome in. But, anyway, they did some work today. So me and Miss Kitty kind of had a relaxing day today. Didn't do a whole lot. Actually, I was sitting there. She was trying to show me videos on YouTube, some kind of try not to laugh videos or something like that. And I was sitting there falling asleep. She's like, Mom, you're not paying attention. You're going to sleep, ain't you? Uh-huh. She's like, fine. I'm going to do something else. I said, okay, you do that, and I'm going to go take me a nap. So I did. I went and laid down and took me a nap for a little bit. Now she got to play video games this afternoon. Anyway, and then I woke up and sat there with her for a little bit and watched her play video games for a little while. And then I got up and started. I was like, well, what am I going to do for dinner? She's like, I don't know. It's like, so I just got up and I went and did some dishes. And then just made dinner and got dinner done just a little bit before my husband and little man got home. They didn't get home till about 7. So, and then I called, talked to my dad for a little bit. I usually call him and talk to him every Sunday. It's been a tradition of ours since we moved out here in Virginia. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. Moved out here in Virginia from Missouri, and back in 1999. So ever since then, my dad's he used to call me. Now I call him, but we talk every Sunday, even if it's just for a little while. We talk at least for a little bit. Now last Sunday I didn't talk to him much. Or actually, I just called him and left a message because I called real early on Sunday. All right, might help get rid of the hiccups. But anyway, I talked to him for a little bit this evening. He's doing pretty good. He's been keeping himself busy. He said he mowed the yard, weed eated, came in, took him a little nap today, and did a load of dishes and did a load of laundry. He was waiting for his wife to come home from work. She wasn't working for a while. She worked at a hospital for a long time, but they changed how they were doing things, so she didn't like what they were doing, so she decided to kind of retire. But she decided to go back to work and decided to work at it's actually working at a McDonald's, but she works the late shift. Now I get to add a row of the gray in. Okay. Oh, oh, that's what I'm sitting on. I was like, what the world am I sitting on? That feels uncomfortable. I was sitting on the silver yarn. Felt lopsided. Couldn't figure out what I was sitting on. So what are y'all working on? You see what I'm working on. It's a wonder I'm actually keeping up with it while I'm talking to y'all. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 20. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What are you doing up, little man?
I had an itch right now to deal with it.
Okay, well, that's
but
all you can.
It's huge and it's swollen.
I'm sorry, but that calamine lotion's gonna work for now. It's probably a mosquito bite.
It's not. It doesn't look like a mosquito bite. That's about how big it is.
Honey, mosquito bites can get pretty big. You need to go back to. That was little man, y'all. He was supposed to be in bed. He discovered a bug bite on his back of his leg. He put calamine lotion on it. Apparently this itching was too much for him. So he got up and put some stuff on it. But anyway, I'm actually starting to get a little sleepy. I think the Benadryl's starting to kick in. I'm not itching as bad, but I'm starting to get a little bit sleepy too. But I'm fighting it. I just got done with row 29, and now I got to put this row on. So I got, 12 more rows to go? I think. Maybe 13. I got 42 rows to do. Of the black. I'm not counting the gray. Or the light gray. I call it silver because it's more silvery color than it is gray. I'm not doing any increases on this row. I'm just doing a single crochet all the way around. Then we will put the black back on there. Which is actually, I didn't cut it. I'll loop it through here in just a little bit. But this is one of the rows that I've got to do. Row 29 was one of the marker spots for one of these stripes. So, I hope the kids enjoy this when I get it done. But I've got, I think, all the planets. There's a moon and the sun too pattern that I've got to do. But I'll see if Miss Kitty one day here soon after I get this done will pick out colors, help me pick out colors for the planets to do. Actually today while I was working on, because I actually do crochet and listen to the pastor, because if I don't, I'll sit there and fall asleep. Because anybody just sitting there monotone voice or, just history is not my thing. And that's what the Bible is a lot of history, and it's, that for somebody to sit there in history class when I was little, I would barely stay awake through history class. So even one of my teachers, she mentioned, she said, some of y'all either need toothpicks or quarters to stick in your eyes to keep you awake. Because some of y'all try to go to sleep during my class. So, and I said, I was almost the one, I almost raised my hand. I said, yep, that'd be me. Because history just was not my thing. So, to keep myself awake in church, I will take a project with me and sit there and listen and work on. And I try to take one that I don't have to count or even think about it to do it. And the blanket that I was working on, which is actually a baby blanket for one of my nieces, she is expecting her first. She's had several miscarriages. She's had to do a lot of infertility drug shots and stuff like that. Her husband's been taking stuff too. He's had medication he has to take as well for us. But anyway, so it's not just been her. He's been going through all this stuff too. But anyway, they are expecting their first. And they did a gender reveal not too long ago. But anyway, I actually had started this blanket for her. It's kind of neutral colors, but after I started working on it, it started turning out almost like a girl's colors, but which is a good thing because they did the gender reveal not too long ago, a couple weekends ago, and she's having a girl. So when Miss Kitty helped me pick out colors, we picked out really good colors. So anyway, while I was working on that, I started looking. I was like, this variegated color on here, if I don't use all of this, I can actually use that for Jupiter. Because the colors on it is some kind of teddy bear is the colorway. I don't know, something to do with a teddy bear on the colorway. And it's from Hobby Lobby. And I was like, well, maybe I'll have enough left over that I can use some of that to do Jupiter. But so that's what I was working on during church service. Oh no, your laptop died. Yeah, that's why I'm not using my phone. I'm using Miss Kitty's Chromebook over here. Because my phone, like, last time I looked at it was like 10%. That was it. My Chromebook was fully charged. I don't know what her charge is. Yeah, she's not got much. Let's see. What does it say? She's got 31% charge on hers. But so that's a lot more than what my phone had. My phone only had 10%. So I asked her if I could use her Chromebook so I can see y'all's chat because I can't read it all the way across the room. My Chromebook's sitting about in the middle of the floor right now. Sitting on top of an antique chair and the two boxes that I store the yarn in for the kids to pick for their blankets. which I need to get little man's working on his. I got all the way through August done on his. I need to start September. So I got September, October, November. I only got 4 months left on his, and that was from last year. And that was about the time we got sick last year, so that's why I kind of quit working on it. And then things got where I was having to help my mother-in-law with my father-in-law a lot, so I didn't get to do a lot of that either. So his blanket and Miss Kitty's blanket got put on hold quite a bit last year. So, but I did pick up Miss Kitty's not too long ago and started working on hers. But because of Vacation Bible School coming up soon, let's see, we're going to be doing Vacation Bible School July, I think it's the 18th through the 22nd. Our last day is actually the day before my husband's birthday. So, but anyway, our theme for Vacation Bible School this year is called Stellar, which is outer space. So, well, what can I find that I can do for this to go with it? And it's like, well, maybe they got some kind of solar system thing that I can do. And sure enough, somebody's got a tutorial on YouTube for the solar system. So that's what I'm working on right now. After I get this playmat done, it's a playmat, but it also, when you get done with it, it has a drawstring thing on it, and you can turn it into a sack to store the planets inside this bag. It'll turn into like a bag, storage bag too. So anyway, from the pictures, this thing didn't look that big. After I started this, I was like, my goodness, this thing's huge. Oops, wrong thing. Not chain, single crochet. See, I'm getting tired, y'all. Trying to do a chain instead of a single crochet. Hi, Jen. Welcome in. But yeah, I know it's been a while since I've been on, but because of me dealing with all this going on, you know, I wanted at least some of the swelling to go down. I was hoping this would heal a bit better. But at least all the swelling's gone down. I said my cheek's back down to normal size. My chin is definitely back down. Like I said, there's just a little bit of a knot left under there, but I've been taking my antibiotics when I'm supposed to. Been taking them 4 times a day, and then putting the steroid cream on the spots. So, and yes, I can tell that the Benadryl is actually starting to kick in because I'm not scratching as much. I'm still itching a little bit, but definitely doing a lot better than I was last Sunday. So, but the taking the Benadryl every night has been quite the ordeal with it too, because I've not been wanting to get up in the mornings. And I was supposed to go Wednesday. to chiropractor appointment, but because I've been taking the Benadryl at night, I've been having a hard time getting up in the mornings. I don't know, Benadryl for some reason, I have a hard time shaking it, getting the foggy and sleepiness gone out of my system whenever I take Benadryl. It's, for some reason, the grogginess lasts longer on me than what it says. It says like every 4 to 6 hours. For me, it takes like 12 hours before the groggy sleepiness wears off. Let's see. Alright. Cricket said hello to Jen. Jen was saying hi. Oh, she said she was talking about Cricket. Cricket says, I hope it was good. Jen says, of course. Miss C wants to plan some meetups. Oh. So you're going to get to meet up with Miss C, Jen, huh? That'd be neat. And right now, Miss Seta is in Virginia visiting her son for, let's see, her birthday and his birthday are close together. And so she comes out here in the summertime for to be with him for her birthday and his birthday. And she messaged me telling me that she was going to be out here and that maybe we could do a meetup. So me and the kids might do a meetup with Miss Seta while she's out here. Hopefully. But I haven't messaged her yet about it when, as I wanted her to, because I know she was saying something about she had jet lag a little bit from the flight and stuff, but wanted her to be able to spend time with her son before I tried to make any plans with meeting up with her. Just, let her spend time with her son because she's out here to spend time with him. So, and I told little man the other day, I said, guess who's in town? He's, is it Miss Seta? I said, yep, she's in Virginia. So we're going to have to contact her and see when we can go visit. Yay! I want to see Miss Seta. So little man absolutely loves Miss Seta. Okay. Chen said, let's see, awesome. She'll be limited on time. Let's see what else. I have spent a lot of time with her. She calls me her special secretary. Her social secretary. She says, when's she coming up, Jen? Jen says, I hear Seta's sweet. She is. Seta's a sweetheart. And she's great with little man. She's got more patience with him than I do. And so Miss C's going to be in August visiting you. Oh, that is cool that y'all get to do a meetup. Oh. You like special secretary? I'm sorry, I guess the light's kind of glaring. I've got my circle light over there too, and it's kind of so it lights it up a little bit better in here. Just the top lights just wasn't enough. So I put my circle light up, and so it's kind of glaring on my glasses a little bit. And when I turn, it glares some too. Well, you're special to us, Jen. We all love you. I'm glad y'all joined me. I know it's been a while since I've been on here. But like I said, and then I've been, during the week too, I've been doing a lot of cleaning and stuff. We've been still trying to get stuff organized in here a little bit. I finally found a place to put my little stitches. Don't you think that's a good place for her? I just hope the sun don't bother it too much. I'll change this out though, because I just need to sew in a tail on this thing. There's just one that I need to sew in. I've been procrastinating because I don't like sewing in the ends. That's why when I did this, I just sewed around the tail of it whenever I started it. Hi, Keith. Welcome in. Okay, you're going to be lurking, Jen. Ah. Ouch. My hair got caught in my glasses. Says Pam. It says, hi, I'm back. Sorry. My kids showed up, so I got distracted. Now I'm ready to head off to bed. Okay, well, good night, Pam. Have a good evening. I did get that right, didn't I? I hope I did. It's hard to keep everybody's names straight on here. Ugh, sorry. Itchies are coming. They're getting fewer and far between, but Benadryl's kicking in and kind of helping with the itchies a little bit, but I can't wait till that stuff's gone. Whew. That itching stuff's driving me crazy. Like I said, little Miss Kitty calls it. She calls it me. She calls when I go to scratching. She calls it me scratching for fleas. She said that I look like a cat or a dog trying to chase down a flea. I said, well, I don't know which is worse, that or this. But the Benadryl does help a little bit, keep the itching down, at least enough to where I can sleep at night. So, see, y'all was just scratching my nose, I'm scratching here. Now you see why Miss Kitty likes to laugh at me. Because I go to itching here and there, and it's all from these bites right here. Just, I don't know. Sometimes it'll itch around the bites some, and I'm trying not to because I've got scabs and stuff, and I don't want to break them open and start bleeding and stuff. So I try my best not to itch there or scratch there, because and it does hurt a little bit, especially the one right here by my mouth hurts. And then right up here, the one by my eye hurts too. But, and that really didn't look like a bite. It was just, it looked my husband looked at it. I couldn't really see it too well. I could feel it. It felt like little blisters up through here. But they're a lot smaller. And luckily enough, my eye didn't swell up or anything. So, but this down here did swell up pretty good. I look like a chipmunk with one cheek just stuffed full of stuff and this side not. So, but anyway, thank goodness the medicine's doing its job. So, other than this darn itching. And she didn't tell me to take the Benadryl. That's my own doing, is taking the Benadryl for the itching. Because I've had a reaction. That one was terrible. I found out the hard way that I'm allergic to F.R.O.G, which is an antibiotic. I had a UTI. This was years and years ago. And the doctor had put me on F.R.O.G. I went through the whole bottle of it and still had the infection. And went back to the doctor, and instead of giving me a different antibiotic, which I thought was kind of odd myself, because the first round of antibiotics didn't work. Why she put me on the exact same thing again, I don't know, but she did. And halfway through the second round of the antibiotics, at this time, whenever I had this happen, we weren't living here anymore. My husband's parents were living here, and we were living in a different house that they had owned. Or they still own it, but a friend of theirs is living there now. But anyway, they had invited us over for dinner here with them, and I was sitting here just talking to them, and I was sitting there all of a sudden, I just, like, my knees started itching. I kept getting these welts around my knees, and then my arms, like my elbows and stuff, started itching. And I started noticing I had these welts, just, and I thought, man, there's got to be a mosquito or something in here, and it keeps biting me. And I was like, I got to looking at everybody else. I'm like, nobody else is scratching and itching. And so I'm like, maybe it's just me. And then I was like starting to mess with my ears. I kept sitting there pulling at my ears and scratched my elbow, and scratched my knees. And I'm like, honey, I think I need to go home. I said, I don't know what's going on. He's like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, and we'd already ate dinner. By this point, we were all just sitting around talking. And I said, well, I'm itching like crazy. I said, at first I thought maybe it might have been a mosquito bite. I said, nobody else around is itching. Nobody else is, acting like they're swatting at a mosquito or anything. So I was like, I think something else is going on. And he's like, well, what's going on? And I showed him, and I had these big old welts just started up around my elbows, and then some started coming up around my wrists, and it was on both arms. And I said, my knees are itching like crazy, and then my ankles had started itching. And I said, my ears are itching really bad too. I said, now they're getting to where they're starting to hurt. And he pulled my hair back, and my ear was just beet red, and it was starting to swell. Anyway, he's like, well, yeah, it looks like you're having a reaction to something. And his mom didn't have any allergy medicine or anything at that time. And I was like, well, I said, we got the kids as, I think it was, little Miss Kitty was around. Little man wasn't around then yet. But I had some children's allergy medicine. And I said, well, we can go home and I can take some of that. Maybe that'll help. So I went home. I took some of her children's allergy medicine, but gosh, that was terrible. For the adult dosage of it, I had to almost take the half the bottle just for an adult dose. And that stuff tasted terrible. I was like, after I tried it, I said, no wonder she don't want to take this stuff. He's like, what do you mean? I said, this stuff tastes terrible. I said, no wonder she won't take it when we try to give it to her. Because it tastes bad. And anyway, I had laid down. And I got up in the middle of the night, had to use the restroom. And I was like, why in the world I can't see? Of course, I didn't have my glasses on either. But I just couldn't see where I was going. And I got in the bathroom and turned the light on. And I looked in the mirror. I went, why can't I see? And I got right up in the mirror and my eyes were swollen shut. At that point, I had started scratching at my eyes and stuff. My ears were so swollen that they weren't itching anymore. They hurt. Both of my ears were just huge. My eyes were swelled shut. I had more hives all over my arms. I just had welts all up and down my arms. And it had already, and by that point, it was up on my shoulders and stuff like that. And I went to the restroom and I got back out of there and I said, honey, I think you need to take me to the emergency room. He's like, what do you mean? I said, well, I can't see. I said, my eyes are swelled shut. I said, I think you need to take me to the emergency room. He says, you can't wait till the doctor office wakes up. Listen to me. He says, you can't wait till the doctor's office opens up and gets you an appointment. I said, honey, I said, look at me. I said, my ears are swollen like balloons. I said, they're huge. I said, they don't itch anymore. They hurt. They're so big and red that they hurt. They feel like they're on fire. And I said, I can't even see. I said, even if I wanted to, even if I put my glasses on, I wouldn't be able to look at you because my eyes are swelled shut. I said, what else do you want swollen before you take me to the doctor? I said, is it going to take my airway to swell up and me not breathe anymore? He's like, okay, I'll take you to the doctor. He didn't want to get up, but after he got up, turned the lights on, and he seen me, he goes, oh, wow, yeah, we need to take you to the doctor, and we need to take you now. He's like, I didn't know that it was that bad. But I said, for one pill to making this reaction afterwards, it took 3 different pills to get rid of. Well, they put me on a different antibiotic, and then they put me on some kind of a steroid pill for the swelling and stuff, or to counteract the reaction to the medication. And then he had me taking Benadryl for the itching. So, anyway, I said, this is sad. I said, I don't think it was something else that they put me on. other than the antibiotic. So I had 4 pills, but the antibiotic was to fix the initial problem, but it was 3 other medications to get rid of the reaction from one medication. So I was like, this is crazy. I said, it takes 3 different medications to get rid of one issue from one medication that caused all of this. But so now, if I go to the doctor and they ask me if I'm allergic to anything, I was like, oh yeah. I tell them, I make sure that they know that I cannot take that medicine, because I said, whew, I don't want to go through that again. I said, that was terrible. I think the itching with that was worse than this is right now, with me scratching and stuff with this stuff. No, I don't know if this is an allergic reaction to the bite or what the deal is, but whatever's going on, I had a reaction to these spots on my face. It's been crazy. But I'll be glad when I'm done with doing all the medicine and all this itching will go away. Like, that's the worst part of all this right now, is the itching. That I'm glad the swellings went down, but right now the worst thing is the itching. I can't stand it. It's driving me crazy. Yeah, I'm doing better. But oh yeah, if I was still swelled up like a balloon and stuff, I wouldn't have been on here. So, thank goodness. And yeah, he says, okay, praise the Lord that I'm doing better. Yep. Praise God that I am doing better. And I'm glad that this didn't get so bad to where, because it was getting to where, like, if I'd swallow, it would hurt to swallow. And it wasn't that my throat was sore. It was because this up under here was so sore. It felt really bruised, really bad. And it was really hot and feverish under here. But I'm just glad that it didn't get to where, and I actually started feeling some soreness over on this side, and that didn't swell up. But I think if I had waited any longer, this would have started swelling some too over here, this gland's over here. And I'm glad it didn't get that far, because that was actually starting to mess with me swallowing a lot more than this part right here was. And I'm glad it didn't swell up to where I couldn't breathe, because that would have been really bad. But yes, praise the Lord that it is doing better. And I don't know what I did with my scissors, y'all. I had my scissors, now I don't know what I did with them. Okay. My scissors walked away. Where did they go? Oh, they fell on the floor. It's about as bad as trying to find your hook. You lose it. Trying to find the scissors. Couldn't find them. They fell on the floor. I'm doing good tonight. Not really. Just joking. First, I knocked Bill Nye here over in the floor. Then I knocked my scissors in the floor. Here, I'm going to put them behind you. You hold on to them. Keep them safe. Can you do that? wonder if Miss Kitty went to bed. She didn't say goodnight. Or she might be laying on the couch with Miss Bandit. That's where she was at when I was coming here to start the video. She loves her kitty cat. There's two. It was funny the other night. Well, thank you, Zach, and thank you, Keith. And I know some of y'all have said in other videos that where I've done chat, the praying, and I appreciate all the prayers, y'all. I really do. And it's been a rough week with this. Like I said, the worst part of it right now is just the itching, driving me crazy. But other than that, like I said, the swelling's gone down, and that's only been in the last few days. This here a couple days ago was still really puffy, and this was a little bit, but a lot of the swelling's gone down. So, but the other night, my husband, he wanted to try something with the cat. She was sitting in the living room with us. We were all sitting there watching stuff on TV. Kids had quit playing video games and they were showing YouTube videos. And he's like, here, let me see that real quick. He said, I want to try something. And he found some cat videos that people had recorded their cats meowing. And he wanted to see what Miss Bandit's reaction was to those videos. And at first, she was just like trying to look around the room, like, where in the world's that coming from? She started watching the TV because she could see the cats on there. But we couldn't see. We couldn't see her. So Miss Kitty picked her up, and this cat is extremely, Miss Bandit is extremely protective of Miss Kitty. Miss Kitty is her favorite human. She don't take too kindly to Little Man. Of course, Little Man has tortured Bandit a few times. So she kind of keeps an eye on him when he's around. But anyway, she picked her up and was going to put her in a different chair where we could see her better. She was holding her, and as soon as Miss Kitty picked her up, and she started hearing them other cats meowing and stuff, she went on defense mode and started growling. And at one point, she hissed. And Miss Kitty was just laughing and stuff. She thought it was funny. But my husband looked at her and says, if I was you, I'd put that cat down before she decides to scratch you. But and she's like, but she's just on defense mode. She thinks there's another cat around. She's defending me. And she does. She protects Miss Kitty. She said so far when she's outside that she's been out there with Bandit, that she has protected her from 2 raccoons and a possum. As raccoon or possum, these 2 raccoons and a possum has come up in the yard, and she got very defensive and protected Miss Kitty. She took off chasing after these animals. Usually cats don't do that because a raccoon and a possum can really put a hurt on a cat. But that's how much this cat loves my daughter, that she is willing to fight a raccoon or a possum for her to protect her. But we did find out, though, she was outside doing schoolwork one day, and she come in the house, and I'm like, she came in a different door, and I'm like, what the world? Why'd you come in that door? She's like, well, she's like, you know those things that you don't like that slither on the ground and everything? I said, oh, one of those things. She's like, yeah, there's one out that door. And she says, I was out there doing my schoolwork. And she said, Miss Bandit was laying in my lap. And then all of a sudden, she took off. And she was on this little porch thing out the side of the house here. And Miss Bandit climbed up in the rafters. It was sitting up there growling at whatever it was. And Miss Kitty was like, what in the world? She couldn't figure out what Bandit was freaking out about. And then she heard something off to the side of her. She turned and looked, and she said it was this huge black snake out there. And it was trying to crawl up the side of the house. Anyway, she said, when I seen that, she said, She said, and she will hold, like somebody's pet snake, she'll hold them. But she don't like to touch the wild snakes because she don't know much about them. And they're usually not very friendly anyway because they're wild snakes. They're not used to humans. So she leaves them alone. But she come in the house and she's like, well, Miss Bandit will not protect me from a snake. She's like, she'll protect me from a raccoon that's twice her size. She'll protect me from a possum that's about the same size as her. She said, but she will not stick around to protect me from a snake. I said, well, I don't blame her. I wouldn't stick around either. But I wouldn't leave you behind. I'd be saying, come on, let's go. But yeah, Miss Bandit, she just, when that snake come around, she's like, nope, I ain't sticking around for that one. She's, you're on your own. 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 20, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, hello, Miss Bandit. How are you? They just came to see me. Okay, let me count this again. Sorry, y'all. Trying to make sure I get my counts right. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 20. 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay. Yep. There's where we increase. Making sure I was at the right spot to increase. Come here, Miss Penny. We took her couch. Or at least I did. She likes to sleep up here. Miss Kitty must have gone to sleep. Don't you get over there. She was messing with some of my depression glass over there. She usually don't mess with that stuff. She's just sniffing it. I don't want her. She has gotten in on that cubicle thing over there before. Come here, Minnie. Hi, Kiki. Come here. You want to come say hi? You want to come say hi? Come say hi to everybody. Come here, Benny. Come here. Look, Kiki. Come on. Come here. They want to see you. They want to see you. Yeah. Come say hi. Here's Miss Banners. Here's Miss Banny. This is our pretty kitty. This is Miss Bandit. I'm sitting in her favorite spot. Oh, you gonna purr for me? Yeah. Happy girl. You gonna say hi to everybody? You gonna say hi? No? Not gonna say hi to everybody? You gonna be shy? You gonna just look at me, huh? Did Miss Kitty go to sleep? Did Miss Kitty go to sleepies? And you're in here with me? Yeah. I love you too. Keep purring. I'm giving her some attention. This is Miss Bandit. Sometimes she'll come say hi. Usually when Miss Kitty's in here, she usually don't get away from her too much. She must have went to sleep on you, did she? You wanna go over there and lay down? Miss Kitty ain't mind if you lay on her blanket. No, she won't mind. You wanna lay down over there? You wanna lay on Miss Kitty's blanket? There you go. What's your favorite spot? Yeah? What's your favorite spot to sit? Well, y'all, it's getting late. It's already after 12. It's almost 12:30. I think I'm gonna call it a night, y'all. Medicine's done kicking in. I'm getting kind of sleepy, so I'm gonna put Miss Bandit in her little house. We keep her in a little pet taxi at night because we don't have a litter box in the house for her. She when she wants to go outside, she scratches on the door, lets us know that she wants out. So but anyway, thank y'all for hanging out with me. Yeah, time does fly when you're doing a live. I need to try to do StreamYard or something so I can have somebody else join me instead of me just being up here like this, because I said Miss Kitty, she didn't want to do it, so she was in the other room. So Mr. Bill Nye here, the sloth, which is very quiet, he don't talk. And Miss Bandit decided to join me, but she's quiet, so you hardly ever hear her meow. The only time I've ever heard her meow was when she wants down. If Miss Kitty's got a hold of her and wants down, she'll meow. And I stepped on her one day. Ooh, that didn't feel good. I didn't know she was behind me. She let me know real quick that I stepped on her. She got my leg. She scratched me and bit me, but that was well deserved because I stepped on her. I didn't mean to hurt her. Oh, hey, Angel, Renee. Well, thank you for popping in for a little bit. I'm getting ready to get off of here anyway because I've took some Benadryl and it's kicking in. But I had talked on here to let people know that I'm doing better. I had a reaction to these bites. My face had swelled up and had a spot here that had swelled up. But antibiotics and the cream are working. The swelling's gone down. The itching isn't gone away, but hopefully that'll clear up soon. But anyway, it is after 12 here, so it's almost 12:30. I'm gonna call it a night. So y'all have a good evening and hope y'all have a wonderful and blessed week. Bye, y'all.